sharing yours now.
All right, we're setting up. Okay, here we go. All right, well, welcome everyone to our Bird of the Month PowerPoint. We're excited about presenting this particular species for you this evening. I usually like to read this at the start of it for any of our new friends or family members that are visiting. And so to continue with this, the 2021 Bird of the Month series continues to focus on North American species requested by our Audubon Everglades members. Each month, information on featured species will cover its description, range, habitat, food, and reproduction. And the bird of the month this month is the Gambel's quail, which was actually requested by my wife, Cece. This particular bird is absolutely stunning. Having worked in Arizona and Utah with the National Park Service for about 9 years, I scoured the desert looking for this bird, got a quick glimpse of it as it was fleeing away from me, which is typical of the species. You can see this particular photograph here is of a male, and we'll get into in the next slide the description of male and female. You can see on the left, the far left, is the adult male, black face bordered by white, a rusty crown with that black bobtail type feather sticking out in front, and female has one as well, but in the case of the male, it's black. An absolutely beautiful bird, that gray breast and the flanks of chestnut with white streaking. The male is distinguished very strongly from the female by that black belly patch, which the female does not have. On your far right, you'll see a juvenile bird that is actually very similar in plumage to the female, except that juvenile bird does not have the chestnut and white streaking on its side, but very, very similar looking to the female. Now, as Cece and I put this PowerPoint together, we thought it would be a great idea to actually compare this species with another very similar looking species, which can sometimes be seen in the American Southwest. So we've decided to compare for our viewers the Gambel's quail and the California quail. At first glance, you might think, wow, these guys look very similar. But when you pay a little closer attention, you'll see on the left, both upper and lower photographs display males of either species. The male Gambel's, as I mentioned before, has that black belly patch, whereas the California male does not. Also, the crown on the Gambel's is actually sort of a richer rust color to it than the California quail. The females, which are on the right, you'll notice, as I mentioned before, with the female Gambel's, but look at that California quail female. She is more of a soft gray-brown, tawny color to her, and that breast is highlighted by those heavy scale type feathers. Just absolutely stunning birds. They're about the same size, about a tennis ball size, and they inhabit pretty similar ecosystems, but we will focus on the Gambel's quail today. All right, the range map here shows that these guys inhabit the desert southwest of our Western American, and you can see that they are found in areas in both Colorado, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, California, Mexico, and even a very small portion of Western Texas. The three areas that they tend to prefer are the Sonoran Desert, the Mojave, and the Chihuahuan Desert. And they tend to be focused in habitats that are listed here: the desert scrub, desert shrub, desert habitat with stream, and Joshua tree. A lot of these ecosystems occurring throughout these deserts are very similar looking. And because these birds live on the ground predominantly, they use a lot of the low growing vegetation as cover to avoid predators, but also to traverse areas from one feeding location to the other. They generally tend to be very active around watering areas, which of course is a precious commodity in the desert. And you can see in that lower left, desert habitat with streams are usually a very strong attractant for these birds. If you ever get the opportunity to travel out west in our western deserts, these are good locations to look for these birds. They are, as I mentioned before, ground dwellers for the most part. Now, they are able to fly, but they would rather run than take flight. They will fly in an emergency if they are surprised by a predator, and their response is a very explosive flight, generally short, but they can actually maintain flight for up to a half a mile away. They spend most of their time on the ground feeding on seeds, leaves of grasses and shrubs, berries when they're in season, and they spend quite a bit of time foraging predominantly on plant material. Now, during the early spring, they will vary their diet with insects, and that is to assist the female in particular with egg production. And we'll talk later, a little bit later, about the diet of the young, which is predominantly insect. During the courtship season and nesting season, which takes place early spring, the coveys, which are family groups that these birds travel and spend the winter months in, they break up so that the males can establish breeding territories. They usually will do so by standing atop fence posts or low growing shrubs or short trees. They call to the females, and they do a very interesting display called tidbitting, where the male will actually extend his feet, his legs, and strut around quite a bit, lowering his head to the ground, sticking his tail up in the air, and making sort of a cooey call that's sometimes described as a cow call. When a receptive female shows interest, of course, the male becomes even more animated in his display. Once the female gets closer, then he actually is able to do more of the creative activities to attract her. Now, at this time, needless to say, the males are extremely aggressive, and you can see in that upper right photo, sometimes adjacent males will try to crash the party, so to speak, and getting on the action. Of course, that's usually met by a severe scolding by the resident male. Now, once the pair establishes their pair bond, they spend quite a bit of time checking out the local home range, presumably looking for nesting sites, which are generally under protective cover in shaded areas, under cacti or under shrub, things like that. Once mating takes place, the female will lay anywhere from 10 to 12, sometimes more eggs. And interestingly, sometimes another female will lay her eggs in the same nest as the resident female. What's interesting is that they will also sometimes take turn incubating the eggs. I learned that on firsthand when I lived in Arizona. I raised bobwhite, scaled quail, California, and Gambel quail. And I would see the females sharing nest duties from time to time, which I found absolutely fascinating. Incubation is only by the females. It takes about 10 to 12 days for the eggs to hatch. The chicks hatch synchronously, and once they do hatch, literally within a couple of hours, they're able to leave the nest, thus classifying them as precocial as opposed to altricial, which means birds that would need greater care, nest care from the adults. But these precocial chicks literally are able to leave the nest. Now, both adult birds will care for the young, and they lead them to food sources, but the young are able to feed for themselves. So the adult birds do not actually feed the young, they just take them to that food source, and the young are able to feed themselves. Young birds are able to have short flights at about the age of 10 days or so, but they are able to improve on that as they grow and mature. The birds do spend the non-nesting season in family groups called coveys. And those coveys are generally made up of the adult pair and maybe up to 16 chicks. However, as the season progresses into the winter months, several coveys will get together. And so you'll get large groups of birds that way. In this photograph here, you can see 3 males and probably 1, 2, 3, 4 females, I believe is what I see there. But these coveys can be anywhere from 20 to 30 or more birds in the middle of winter. Once the spring season comes about, then they start to break up. Just to end this presentation, I'd like to just read for you my conservation notes on this. It says here, Gambel's quail are numerous. Between 1966 and 2014, populations appear to have been fairly stable, possibly with a small decline according to North American Breeding Bird Survey. However, it's difficult to estimate long-term trends because the boom and bust nature of this species means their year-to-year numbers are extremely variable. Partners in Flight estimates the global breeding population at 5.3 million, with 74% living in the US and 26% in Mexico. Gambel's quail have been a popular target for hunters in the Southwest since the frontier days. Concerns over hunting's impact led to strict bag limits and short or closed seasons by the 1950s, and efforts to increase quail numbers in that era included trapping and transplanting birds, establishing refuges, and providing water sources. Now, interestingly enough, research eventually showed that these efforts had little effect on populations, which are mostly responsive to the presence or absence of winter rains. Bag limits were eventually increased and length of hunting seasons extended to as much as 125 days per year. Restricting livestock grazing may improve habitat for Gambel's quail, and the local population, lost my place here, local populations rise and fall, apparently reproducing poorly in dry years, and the overall population is stable. One last bit of information, the birders in Hawaii may catch a glimpse of Gambel's quail on the slopes of Mauna Kea volcano. The Hawaii Division of Fish and Game introduced this popular game bird, mostly from game farms, to all the main Hawaiian islands in the late 50s and early 60s. Today, a few remain on the Big Island, as well as on Lanai and tiny Keolea. Okay, and if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and forward them. and Cece and I will do our best to answer them for you.
Okay. Hi, Clive. If you don't mind, would you share your video so we can also see you for just a moment? That would be great. All right. So we have a couple of questions already, and everyone, if you have any more questions, please put them in the chat. So Mary Dugan asks, do they have a preferred elevation as well as desert habitat?
Yes, the preferred elevation, it's generally below 5,500 feet. And the where a lot of researchers seem to be finding most of the population is in the Sonoran Desert. So usually where there's a lot of mesquite, a lot of cacti, things of that sort, shrubs in low growing vegetation, because that is an integral part of their need for avoiding predators, that low growing shrubs, and also for nesting.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And Jeanette Mitchell asked, if the juveniles look the same, at what age can the gender be determined?
It's usually about the ending of the first year. The characteristics of the males will start to become readily apparent at about that point.
Okay. And Jeanette Mitchell also asked, since they are precocial, do 100% survive to adulthood?
No, mortality rate on baby quail is extremely high. They do have quite a few on the list of predators, including aerial predators like hawks, but also there are coyotes, snakes, several others that will actually prey on the babies.
And Kay Gates has some insight into them. She says, visiting in Phoenix, saw quail in housing developments. Folks there said they usually had half a dozen young.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, because a human settlement is rapidly encroaching on desert ecosystems, these birds have actually adapted themselves quite well to the suburban setting. And a lot of these suburban dwellers will put grain out for quail to attract them to their yards.
Okay, so that's it for the questions, Clive. That was wonderful. It's a new bird for me, really. I've known nothing about Gambel's quail at all, so that was very exciting. And they're such a cool looking bird. I can't wait for our next bird of the month. I know you're not going to tell us, so I'm not going to ask.
No, I'm not.
Because you're just going to shut me down anyway. So, but we look so forward to it, and thank you so much for doing these wonderful presentations. I'm sure all of us are learning so much more about birds than we ever thought we would. Thanks,
Well,
Clive.
you're very welcome.
And
you're
we'll
very
see you.
Welcome, and we enjoy doing them.
Great. We'll see you next month. Okay. So
right.
I'm going to share my screen real quickly, and we will keep moving on with our program tonight. So we now come to our featured program, and I would like to introduce Marianne Gabel, who will be introducing, who's our program chair, and she will be introducing the two of the producers of our wonderful program this evening, which is very unusual. I just wanted to say one thing before we start. This is going to be a probably longer program than usual because we have many members of the crew and the expeditioners who will be with us after the video presentation this evening, and so you'll get to talk to all of them, which is going to be wonderful. And probably we're going to have a bazillion questions. I know that's not a word, so we want to make more time for that. So we're planning on ending our program tonight at 8:45. So just so you know, we'll be on 15 minutes longer this evening. Anyway, so let's get going. Marianne, I'll leave it up to you.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Before we get started, I would just like to ask everyone on their Zoom screen, if you move your cursor to the upper right where it says view and click speaker view, this will allow you to see our presenters at the beginning during the introduction and then at the end during the Q&A. And then if everyone else can make sure that their video is off, that'll be very helpful. Sergio and Benji, you might want to turn on your video now. That would be great. And then we'll just make sure we have speaker view on. Okay. All right. So tonight I'm excited to introduce the incredibly talented team of producers, filmmakers, and expeditioners who made the film Audubon Everglades is showing tonight, Hidden Wild, presented by Palm Beach County Environmental Resources Management, the Palm Beaches of Florida, and Days Edge Productions. In Hidden Wild, we will follow high school expeditioners Noah, Kiana, and Kourtez on their adventure of discovery into South Florida's wild spaces. They are led on their journey by science educator and expedition leader Alex Freeze. The whole adventure is caught beautifully on film and produced by the team of Neil Lozen, co-owner of Days Edge Productions, Benji Stutt of Palm Beach Environmental Resources Management, and Sergio Piedras of the Palm Beaches of Florida. So before we see the film, I'd like to welcome Hidden Wild executive producers Benji Stutt and Sergio Piedras to share some thoughts on the film and how it came to be. Benji and Sergio?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I guess, so your screen is still shared here. But I wanna be really brief with my comments. And I'm sorry that if my audio is a little bad because I'm outside right now and it just started downpouring. So, you know, Florida. Hidden Wild was such a fun project to work on because it brought so many different kind of members of the community together. And so what started out as Palm Beach County Environmental Resource Management needing to provide the school district with new curriculum. We used to provide them with literally a newspaper. And in 2017, one of my teammates came on, she was a former educator, and she said, why are we giving kids newspapers in 2017? And I said, good point. So we stopped. And after a couple of years, our amazing educators said, you know, hey, where's our product? We knew we wanted to create something with video, but we knew that to connect with kids in 2020, 2021 and beyond, it really needed to be something that was really elevated. And so we didn't want it to look like this traditional educational film of like scientists talking to camera. We wanted to inspire kids to really connect with their backyard. And so that's what we set out to do, but we couldn't do that with our own funding. There's going to be plenty of time for questions after everybody views the film. So what I really want to do is introduce Sergio, because that's the other half of this really cool partnership in funding this program, was bringing Palm Beach County's official tourism entity, Discover the Palm Beaches, on board. And so Sergio, first of all, it's great to see you. And if you could just tell everybody a little bit about why Discover the Palm Beaches felt like Hidden Wild was a good investment, and maybe like where do you see the tourism push and ecotourism's role in marketing the Palm Beaches here in the next 5 years?
Good evening, Benji, and good evening, everyone from the society here. Good to see you too, my friend, and good to see many of the people who made this thing happen. I'm in a little bit of a drier spot, but there's also thunder and lightning outside my window. So if that you hear that, I apologize. But I love crazy ideas. I do. And Benji came to me with a crazy idea. He said, why don't we do this? And this turned out to be Hidden Wild. Fast forward about 1.5 years to almost 2 years of production, getting the financing together, selecting a great company in Days Edge, selecting Alex Freeze to be our out there as a guide and of course the kids. When you see the film, you can see the kids are the ones who just explode off the screen, and we love them for it. And this was easily the most exciting thing I've done. I've been with Discover the Palm Beaches, and before that, it was the Palm Beach County Convention and Visitors Bureau. I've been there for 21 years. This is one of the top 5 things I've done. And because we've never been able to capture the Palm Beaches, Palm Beach County's ecotourism this way, by actually, instead of just having some guy do a fishing show, which is great, there's a purpose for that, or showing, you know, like an eco attraction, or just showing like a sunrise or a sunset. This was actually people going out there and having the time of their lives. And we want to sell that experience. So when, like I said, when Benji came to me with this crazy idea, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm into it. And it took us a little while to sell everything and make it happen to our powers to be. But I am so glad we have reached this point, and we have so much national recognition for this program, both from the travel industry and from film festivals and locally here as well.
Yeah, so Marianne, I think I want to save all the time that we can for questions. So
Great.
why don't we drop the link in the chat and let's break and watch this film.
That's great. We're really lucky to have you here tonight. Thank you so much. Yeah, so let me give you some instructions on how we're going to view Hidden Wild this evening. Each person is going to view the film on their own computer by clicking a link to the film. I'm going to post 2 links in the chat. One is YouTube, and the second will be Vimeo link. If you're unable to view it on the YouTube link, then you can go back and click the Vimeo link and you should be able to see it. The film will pop up in a new window on your computer. At that point, we'll watch the film. It's about 27 minutes, and then we'll take a few minutes and be back at about 30. And so after you're finished watching the film, go back to your Zoom window. And when we've got all the presenters and everybody back on board, we'll start our Q&A with the panel. Just to let you know, you can post questions in chat like we were doing this evening, or that we've done in other meetings. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drop the links into the chat. All right, enjoy the show. We'll see you back in about a half an hour.
Florida. If you don't live here, you might know us for our beaches, our resorts, our golf courses. But that's not the Florida I grew up with. Behind the stereotypes, there's another Florida, a hidden Florida. And it's full of surprises. My name is Alex Fries. I'm a science educator and a 6th-generation Floridian. As a kid, I spent a lot of time in Florida's wildlands. But even during my lifetime, many of these areas have changed or disappeared, and often kids don't even know they exist. For our wildlands to survive, the next generation of Floridians needs to know about them, love them, and protect them. That's why I'm taking 3 high school students on an
Well, I mean, they see it before and stuff. The one who sees it, who does all that is the guy, what's his name?
Luke.
Luke, that's his job.
Within
Oh, yeah.
200 yards past.
Yeah, no, it's,
Well,
if you go for deer, it's the place to go.
there's a lot of
There's 2 streams there.
Yeah.
It's like perfect.
But
It's like-
there's a bunch of hunting trails up there, which are the public trails, which are also.
I don't think there's anything wrong with hunting.
I understand, but I don't want people hunting where Atlas is running
No,
around.
right.
No, they shouldn't be right there.
Yeah, you want to be having to wear orange when you're in your own backyard.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I'm
Plus
gonna,
the
I'm gonna,
cities are
I'm gonna go right
people
to the
out
edge of the
there.
street.
What do you think, Chris?
I might go and talk to Bill Olson
She's on some kind of Zoom for
and
Benji.
ask him if he would mind if I have a couple that I was gonna put in there, and add a couple signs of his section of the property.
Right, yeah.
If he cared.
You have to go
On
and
that side of the
yourself
street.
there. He's a nice guy. You'll like him a lot. He's actually very nice. I don't know what his wife is like, but I'm sure.
I'm sure if I
Yeah,
went up there
like
and
him,
said
yeah.
that was, 'cause they have kids right there.
Yeah, I think they have 4 kids.
I'm
Hey, Benji.
Hey, Marianne.
That was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's just so inspiring and beautiful. So at this time, I would like,
I think everybody's getting back on. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, did you hear that? So if people are watching on YouTube, that's why I included the Vimeo. I couldn't remember, but if people are watching it on YouTube, YouTube allows Zoom to kind of like come over on the audio.
I think we corrected that. Yeah,
Okay.
as soon as we could. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if we're talking right now and if people are still watching the film. Do you
Possibly.
wanna wait a couple more minutes or?
Yeah, I think we should wait a couple more minutes for sure. Let's but let's have Noah, Kourtez, Kiana, and Alex, and Sergio, and Neil. If you could all unmute yourselves, turn on your video so that we can do the chat. The chat's lighting up. Wow.
I know Noah is here. I've seen his name pop up, and I've been looking for.
Everybody else is on. Yeah, they should be. Kourtez is under his mom's account.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I see Kourtez.
Hey guys,
Neil.
good to see you again. Noah, you're upside down.
Oh no.
And if everyone who's with us now will choose a speaker on their view option. Great. All right. Benji, let me know when you think we should start. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I mean, it's 8:10. So I think, we've had a half hour since you dropped it in the chat.
Right.
So I'd say let's get the question.
Let's get
Look, I
rolling.
mean,
Yeah,
everybody can watch it again later. So
That's
if you haven't
right.
finished it, but yeah, let's get to the
Let's get
questions since we
rolling.
got the whole crew here.
Thanks. Well, welcome
So
back,
cool.
everyone.
Would you wanna ask?
What a beautiful and inspiring
Yes.
film.
Just
And
type
I
it.
could go
Yeah.
on and on, but we
Right,
want
yes.
to hear from you, from the folks who saw it. If everyone who is not a speaker or presenting could press their mute button, that would be great. And you can post your questions in the chat and I'll try to get to all of them. Then I may combine some of the questions. But let's start off with this. Here's a question for Noah, Kiana, and Kourtez. I wish I had been there with you, just as an FYI. I want to do what you did. But how would you say, it's now been a year and a half since you did this, since your expedition. So how would you say your expedition experience has changed the way you think about the place you call home now? And we can start with you, Kiana, if you want to chime in.
Hi, so essentially, like, it didn't only just educate me about Florida's ecosystems and like everything around me. It also just changed my perspective on, the environment as a whole. And, it also helped me learn to appreciate things in the wilderness that I didn't know existed and things that I didn't enjoy, like insects or bugs. And now I appreciate them. And it also helped me just, realize also the importance of, conservate. I was in Germany, so my English is a little bit bad because I've been speaking for a month, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there. It also made me realize, the importance of conservating the environment and, all the animals and all the plants around us. It made me also realize how even small animals or things like plants or even things that other people would think are unnecessary, like ants, how they all, everything fits like a puzzle. Like without one thing, it's not complete. So it also really helped me appreciate the little things in the wilderness. And it also helped me see what's in my backyard, which I never knew about. So not only did it change my view on, nature and Florida's many different habitats, but it also helped me learn also a lot of things about myself as well. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
yeah.
It's like we're sharing this world, not just with other humans, but with other, you know, plants and other kinds of life that all have a purpose that's very intertwined. I hear you saying, yeah,
Right.
cool. So Kourtez, do you want to ring in on this? You know, how this experience has changed the way you think about your place called home?
Personally, I think this experience has changed how I look at, you know, just seeing the trees by, you know, a highway and, you know, realizing of the small ecosystems or what's happening driving. You couldn't even know it, you know, instead of just going to a certain place to see wildlife, it's all around you instead of outside your home. It could be where you're driving. It could be by your friend's house. Nature is everywhere you look. It's just to you to go and explore it safely.
Yeah.
That's my look on it.
Yeah. So you start to notice the life around you more and its significance. Yeah. And the environment. I get it. And then Noah, do you want to tell us about your expedition experience and how it changed the way you think of this place you call home? Do we have Noah?
He just unmuted, but Noah, if you can hear us, we can't hear you.
Hello, Noah? Well, he's not muted, so I'm not sure what the issue is here. Noah, can you hear us? All right.
All right, we'll try again. Noah's
Yeah,
got
we'll try
a
again later.
GoPro screen up.
Yeah, Noah, I'm thinking he may have his GoPro connected through his computer. Noah, if you can hear us, maybe try calling into the chat or into this Zoom from your phone. And then we might not be able to see you, but we might be able to hear you if your audio from your computer isn't working.
You can still do your phone. It like works, the camera. I'm on my phone right now.
Okay, let me just read some of the comments that have been coming in. Amazing. My heart is so full seeing these beautiful, familiar sights and meeting these rad adventurers. Amazing. Loved it. I've supported the importance of educating the youth. Thank you. Incredible film. Gives me hope. What a cool, productive, meaningful, purposeful, and hope-filled production. Super great. What a wonderful glimpse into the eyes of young people discovering the wilderness. Thanks for the work that you do. Okay, let's see. Someone says they enjoyed the video and it reminded them of their first adventure with Benji. That was from Vanessa Hill. All right.
Marianne, can I jump in? Because I've got a question for Neil that I don't know that I've ever asked him this. And
please go right ahead.
Yeah. So I'm gonna plug Days Edge a little bit here. If you all haven't checked out their website and their catalog of the stories that they've told, and you are nature nerds and bird nerds like me, you're going to be just blown away. But so that's kind of the point, Neil, is like, you know, what you and Nate and Days Edge have done for, you know, a decade now is told some pretty hardcore science stories. And this was, I think, a little bit of a step outside of the box for you all. So can you tell us a little bit about that, like how this was different, and maybe also just maybe tell the folks about like what is it like to go shoot in the woods for 7 days when all you have is a generator to charge up some batteries and back up all of the footage you're collecting.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was a bit different from many other shoots. We've done some sort of expedition style filming before. in other contexts, but, filming an expedition where the crew was, young people or students was a new experience. And we, worked closely with Benji and the whole team at Palm Beach County ERM, who were, a phenomenal resource for organizing and making the logistics work. Luckily, because of all that great work that they did, we were able to focus primarily on the filming. But it was a pretty intense 7 days. I mean, you don't see us on camera, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. We're doing the expedition alongside the expeditioners. So we're also, kayaking and biking and hiking, and carrying our camera gear with us. There were a couple spots where we were able to get on a motorized, boat instead of a kayak and get up ahead of the expeditioners. But by and large, we were right alongside them. And then the ends of our days involved, backing up data, sometimes hundreds of gigabytes of data each night onto multiple hard drives. So we had backups and recharging batteries, and like Benji suggested, firing up a generator so we could do all that far from electrical outlets. And I mean, honestly, I don't really remember any of it except for what we filmed. It's sort of a blur. It all went by so quickly, and so much was happening all at once. But it was really fun to revisit that footage. And another member of our team, David Hutchinson, who's not on the video chat, took the lead on the edit, and it all came sort of flooding back the first time that he delivered a rough cut of the story to us, an edited version. And it was just so cool to see it, all those memories coming back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. Here's a question for the expeditioners. They want to know from you three, what was your most memorable moment? If you have one. Kourtez, you can start.
One of my most memorable moments was kayaking down the river. I think it was day 4 or 3, where we saw an alligator at some point. I think like maybe 10, not even 10 minutes into the kayaking, we just saw an alligator chilling on the side of a bank. Like it was just wild, seeing it chilling there, because it's its home.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to see one so quickly. I was expecting to see it, see one in the water or see or hear someone point one out. But, it was just relaxing right in front of me. And I think that was a pretty cool experience.
That's cool. So then it doesn't feel threatening. It's more of a moment of discovery and appreciation. Yeah, cool. And Noah, are you with us yet? No, still no. Okay, let's see. We'll try that. Kiana, do you have a most memorable moment during the expedition?
Yes. So one of my most memorable moments definitely was probably at the end when we were kayaking like onto the shore, and then we saw like our family. And when I was kayaking, like I was behind, like in the back, because I was a bit slower, because like I was a bit slower. But I like when I was kayaking, I realized like I was just in the wild for 7 days, and I couldn't believe that I actually did it, because beforehand I did have some like knowledge about, biology and, the ecosystem, but I never really got to have that hands-on experience. Mm-hmm. Like I've never went camping before. I'm usually, I like people, I like buildings, so I'm never really in nature like that. Mm-hmm. So I realized that, wow, like I really just did all that for 7 days, and I learned so much, and I made all these memories. And, I was educated, like I learned so much, like I can't even explain it. Like, so I learned so much, and through that, I was so excited to go home and tell all my friends and family of what I just witnessed. So after that, I got to go tell my friends, and then they all were like, oh, I want to go there. I want to go there. Where's that? And I was like, oh, well, this is this and this is this. So because of this experience, like that memory really stuck with me because it helped me remind myself, the joy that it brought at the end. And then the fact that I could go on and tell all my other friends and family. And then this helped them also realize, the importance of, our environment. And Florida, it's more than just Miami and the buildings, there's actual ecosystems and habitats and animals. So yeah.
Right. Cool.
I have to give
Yeah, it's a little different from book learning.
Right.
Alex, did you want to chime in with something?
Yeah, I just wanted to give Kiana some absolutely major props. And Kiana, correct me if I'm wrong, but not only had you not been camping before this expedition, you really hadn't been kayaking before, right?
Yeah, I never did any of the.
Yeah, so
I
like
never went
not
hiking,
only
kayaking.
is this like fearless lady just out here like camping with the bugs and all of that, she like signed up to go on this kayaking expedition and she persevered through everything. We had some serious headwind. We had a little bit of adverse conditions at some points, and none of them ever gave up. Kourtez and Noah were always, ahead, just, making miles and paddling, but Kiana stuck with it every single step of the way, and she was amazing.
Well, that's wonderful. And Alex, maybe you could answer this, or maybe this is for Benji, I don't know. Because you all were on these great trails and in the water, and someone is curious as to where is the trail through the wetlands with Dr. Mark Cook located? Are these places accessible? How do people get to them?
Yeah, sure. So where we met Mark was a section of the Ocean to Lake hiking trail, which is part of the Florida Trail System, maintained by the awesome Florida Trail Association. So it's within our Loxahatchee Slough natural area. You guys can find that trail. It's marked if you go to pbcnaturalareas.com. You can find our trail maps there. And you can hike it yourself. You can bike there from Riverbend Park and lock your bike up, and there you go. Thank you, Marianne. But yeah, check it out yourself. You can absolutely hike really, you can do the entire route. What you can't do is camp where we camped. To make this film, we got some really special access to stay at some really amazing spots. But every part of the trail system that we paddled, that we biked, that we hiked is all part of what you can do here. So yeah, that section with Dr. Mark Cook was in Loxahatchee Slough, in what's known as the Lucky Tract, which is north of the C-18 West Leg, and on the Ocean to Lake hiking trail, which is just an amazing stretch.
Wonderful.
Marianne, if you got one teed up, or if you don't, I'd love to ask
Benji.
Alex something. Yeah. Go ahead, Sergio.
Yeah, just adding to Benji's point, at our website, hiddenwildfilm.com, I wrote a blog with some contributions from Benji about all the locations. So if you go to the website, look for that blog, it's at the bottom of the page. And like Benji said, we didn't, there's obviously ones you can't camp in or whatever, but all the locations are there. So I would encourage everyone to check that out.
Well, Sergio, let's see, I do have something cute. Yeah, so does Discover the Palm Beaches have any plans for any similar type projects that would highlight the natural wonders? I mean, with the success of this film, is this a one-off, or do you see more in the future like this?
Yeah, I'll answer that a couple different ways. Number one is we are using a lot of the extra footage, which we call B-roll, and a lot of still photography, which is amazing. Dave's Edge, they're fantastic. They know what they're doing. They're really, really well. And we have more footage now than we've ever expected to ever have. And we're using that already in our website. We're using that already in some other videos, and we're creating some specific videos to promote water adventure and land adventure, using everything from this film. So it's going to be a gift that keeps on giving, to say the least. And would we do a sequel? I don't know. Well, Benji and I will have to talk about that one day. But in the meantime, we're using it already.
Okay, very good. So, couple of questions. And
Hey, I got my mic back to work, I think.
Hey, Noah. Noah's here.
Sorry, guys. I thought my mic was working the whole time.
Welcome, welcome. No, well then, all right. We have to ask you the question that we started out with Kiana and Kourtez, because everybody's really interested in your expedition experience. So now that it's been a year and a half since then, how has that experience changed the way you think about the place you call home?
For what the film did for me is like so many things. Of course, it opened your eyes to see like how intricate everything is, like the palm tree in your backyard or the palm tree, you know, on the street isn't just a palm tree. Like that's a, you know, Palmificus rapificus, and it does 10 billion things that we don't even know, you know, how it does it, but it does it. And it's like when you're with a team of people and you're like analyzing every step of the way, and you just learn like every step you take, especially in South Florida, is like there's just like a million things to learn in each step, and it's just crazy to have a whole week of that. And you're just like, wow, it's like, you know, you get woken up like, you know, the parks that we pass are like so simply are just like so intricate, you know.
Yes.
It's also it was also really cool, just like experience for me as well. It's just something I've always wanted to do, and it's and it happened, and it was just you know, has helped me learn so much and grow, and it was just a really cool experience to
Yeah,
be
you
out
see your surrounding world in a different way now. It sounds like.
For sure.
So let me follow up, Noah, and then Kourtez and Kiana, this question will also go out to you. So how have like your family and friends and classmates reacted to your experiences? You know, what did they have to say about it? Noah, you could start.
So for my family, of course, like there's the, like they're very proud, and to see me do something like that. And because like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do, and then knew that. And, you know, like doing the little essay that turned into like a, you know, another essay, did like, and then did like the audition video. And then to actually get it, it's like, wow, I never would have thought that would have happened. You know, it's like, you know, it's like when someone says a raffle, you know, of like win $1 million, like that's kind of how it felt for me. I was like, no way. And then went out and did it, and it was one of the best like experiences. And I got to tell that story to my family and to my friends, and they're like, wow, like, you know, like they think in their head like you know, not everything's impossible, you know, just try to like encourage. And they just were proud of me as well, that I actually stuck my hand out and tried to do it. And, you know, and then when I was selected, I actually went and did it, and, you know, followed through. And so it's really cool. But
yeah, and when you shared your experiences with them, you know, how did they feel about that, like with some of your classmates?
They were just, I bet, like, they bet they were a little jealous.
Yeah.
You know, I would have been jealous. Are you kidding me? Right? Going out into like a camping trip with like learning a million things. But jealous in a good way, you know, like jealous because it was so awesome. And like I was able to go back into my school and back into all my classes and tell them less about like how lucky I am and how cool I am, but more like how cool the experience was, and how you guys, everyone can have that experience, you know, by themselves. You don't need a video camera and a crew. You can take a walk by yourself, you know,
That's
and
right.
have an amazing experience, you know.
Very, very cool. And I think you and this film remind us of that. So Kiana, how did your family, friends, or classmates react when you shared your experience of being outdoors for 5 days? Like, you're crazy, or?
So when I was first selected, my mom, of course, she was very surprised because she didn't know that I like did that. Like she didn't know I applied or like anything like that. So she was kind of shocked. And at first she was like, you in nature, like are you sure like you could do that, right? Like, cause you know, I'm like, she just didn't expect me to like, you know, whatever. But then she was really happy because she also enjoys nature, and like she was a little bit jealous of me because, you know, like that's like a 1 in a million chance to even, like Noah said, like you'd never really think like you'd be able to actually like go and, you know, experience this. So my mom was really happy for me. My grandparents were really happy for me. And my friends, like at first they were kind of like, you? And I was like, yeah, I want to go. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah. So regardless, as I was saying, after I actually did it, I came back, and once they actually saw the film in general, they were very surprised, and they were actually really inspired to, you know, go out in the wild and see it for themselves. So they were like, where's this and where's this, and you know, how did you do that, or you know, etc. So you know, I got to show them, you know, the locations, and I got to teach them more about the habitats and, you know, why everything, you know, fits together and why everything is so important. So not only did it make me appreciate the environment more, but it made my friends appreciate the environment more, which was really something that was important for me because I used to use social media as a way to show people, you know, that the environment, you know, needs to be helped and supported, because I feel like, especially with this generation, like, you know, they've been very neglectful towards the environment. So my friends didn't really understand it at first, and they used to make fun of me. But once they actually saw, you know, what is in the wild and what we're trying to save and what we're trying to, you know, keep and preserve, they actually, you know, got to understand, you know, why I did that. So not only did it help them learn and see what's actually, you know, beyond all the buildings and the housing, but they really took, you know, they took more knowledge away from it. And I got to educate my friends more on, you know, many different topics. So it really did not only help me, but it helped my friends and family understand the ecosystem and the habitats and our world, you know, a little bit better.
Well, that's wonderful. That's just absolutely wonderful. And Kourtez, so what was, how did your family and friends react to your going out in the wild for 5 days in Florida?
Some of my friends and friends from school didn't even know that I like to go camping and like to go outside most of the time, because I talk about it every now and then, but it's not, you know, a thing I do every day. But when I do, you know, mention that outside is an important thing, you know, instead of staying inside, it feels stuffy. You go outside, you get a new, you know, you get a change of scenery. You go anywhere that has trees, basically, and you'll, you know, feel better.
That's true.
Family, my family was very excited for me to be going on this trip, because they knew I'd be in my element, and you know, I would be okay, and I would love, you know, to see what would happen and everything else. And I think the best part was how my cousins and even my grandma were, you know, very happy for me that I was chosen, and it was a very cool experience from what I've told them.
Thanks. Cool. So here's a question then, that several people are curious how Noah, Kiana, and Kourtez got to be so lucky to go on this adventure. Who wants to take that, Benji?
Yeah, I will really quickly. So what we did, you know, is we engaged the school district, and I saw a couple of questions coming in about how is this going to be used. So this is going to be new curriculum for every 7th and 10th grade student in the school district. So we've got a curriculum team of teachers that we've actually taken on different segments of the expedition. They're writing curriculum right now that's going to be associated. Days Edge, in addition to the video that you all watched, they delivered 3 short segments. So Alex filmed different intros and outs for each of those 3 short segments. And those are supposed to act as some inspiration to dive into a lesson about things like fire ecology and water connections and food webs and things like that. The way that we chose the students was, what we didn't want to do was, do a call to parents, because then we'd have parents, pushing their kids. So we actually engaged the school district and each science lead for each middle and high school. And science teachers nominated these students. So after the nomination process, we broke it down into finalists and we said, submit videos. And Kiana, Kourtez, and Noah all submitted videos. And so then, we chose them to be part of the interview process. Again, stripping it down to kind of round 3. And that's how they were chosen. Was so glad to be able to meet them all. Marianne, if you don't mind, I want to ask Alex something, because she has so much of this kind of expedition experience.
Yes.
So Alex is a 6th generation Floridian. She actually was an intern, right, with Carlton Ward, and the inspiration for this film was an expedition that she participated in. But what I really want to ask Alex is, she just participated in another expedition for the Florida Wildlife Corridor.
Right.
And it's so funny, the different tentacles that all these projects kind of intertwine, because our project, though inspired by one of the films she worked on, then inspired the film that she just helped out with. So Alex, being behind the scenes, but then on this one being in front of the camera, I want to ask you 2 things. Number one, I'm sure that, nature for you, just like for me and the rest of the panel here, provided, so it's so empowering, right? When you're able to go out and kind of achieve these goals that you set outdoors. What was it like for you leading the expeditioners and kind of seeing that transformation in them of all of a sudden believing that they could do these things?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, leading them was just a joy. I don't know if you could tell from the film, but the 3 of them are hysterical and so positive and curious. The questions that they would ask, Noah and Kourtez battling on the paddle boards, like that's my background as an environmental educator. My educator heart was just so full of joy the whole time. Being able to lead them, being in front of the camera for this experience was very interesting. Having been part of 3 films previous to this one behind the camera, it was definitely, every night I was like, wait, like I don't have to sit with the film team and back up data, and I don't have to be, rummaging around my computer until 3 a.m. like trying to get stuff done. Like that was definitely interesting. But this is like my being in, like, knit together is being outside with young people. It's what motivates me. It's what inspires me. Watching them learn from Dr. Mark Cook, seeing a Mississippi kite going through the cypress swamp we were walking through, seeing an amphiuma for the first time, and just watching that spark of fascination and inspiration, and knowing that the 3 of them were able to take that home to their families and their communities to hopefully inspire other people to fall in love with wild Florida as much as I know Benji and Neil and myself and everybody else here already has. Was just, it truly, I don't say it hyperbolistically when I say it was a dream come true leading them. It was such fun.
All right, so Alex and Marianne, if you can, I see we still got like 60 people on, which is awesome, and I know we're running short on time. Everybody who's hung in, I want to give like a little carrot too. So like, I want to do like let's talk about like the Instagram versus reality, or like the Jerry Springer moments, or maybe for younger people like the Bravo TV moments. And I'd love to like go around and get reaction from all of the panel expeditioners, Alex and Neil, and So for me, it was the pull of, I had a very, very ambitious schedule planned out for this expedition. And so one of the days that kind of sticks in my mind is the Wild Scenic Loxahatchee, which is like the beating heart of this whole system. And I know like Kiana, Kourtez, Noah didn't know at all what they were getting into. Alex was so stoked. Neil was. We had scouted this location before. I found us about a third of the way of where we were supposed to get to. And it was like 2:30 in the afternoon. And so I'm sitting there trying to pull Neil and Nate and the rest of the crew. And I'm like, we've got to go. We've got to meet. And they're like, no, we've got to get this shot. What are you talking about? And there was, there's all this tension set in this incredibly scenic location, and different, priorities pulling in different directions, right? So it's just what you see on film in the beautiful way that Days Edge produced it, is not what expedition life is all about, right? So we ate crow sandwiches. That happened on the expedition. So I think, Neil, maybe I'll put you on the spot. I'll start with you, and then maybe go to Alex and Kiana, Kourtez, and Noah, and like what was that kind of Bravo TV moment for you behind the scenes that didn't make it in, that was like, oh man, that is not the beautiful thing that Days Edge made?
Well, so I think Benji makes it sound, the Loxahatchee portion at least, sound a little more acrimonious than it really was. I mean, we were all working toward a common goal. I think when you start filming, you just the clock is not your concern. You get really focused on the task at hand, and Benji suddenly tells us it's 4 p.m. and we're only halfway there, and we've been at it since 8 a.m. and sunset is coming, and so we have to shift gears and get paddling. Obviously, I'd say the funny thing, it ended up being funny, but on the day that we were filming the fire, my colleague Nate was flying the drone and brought the drone down, and there was just a lot going on, that we had like 3 cameras running and people were running around. Our photographer was running around. There were vehicles everywhere, like there was a huge fire. And so we were all kind of on our toes, staying safe, as well as trying to capture the shots we needed. And Nate just got a little distracted bringing the drone down. And when he went to catch the drone, because there was no level spot to land the drone, so he had to bring it down and catch it, he got distracted and looked away and ended up almost severing his thumb with one of the rotor blades on the drone. It cut right through his thumbnail, and it was pretty nasty. It could have been a lot worse, but amazingly, he was back. I think he was back flying the drone again the same day.
Oh, I mean, like an hour later. Like it wasn't. He just like
with this huge bandage on his thumb. Still working the controls. You couldn't keep him away from that thing.
Yeah, he was a trooper.
All right, Alex. So what about you? What was that moment that didn't make it in? That was hilarious, or?
Well, I think it definitely was not hilarious in the moment. And Benji, you can attest to this because you were right there with me when it was absolutely my very favorite part of the trek, paddling down the Wild and Scenic Loxahatchee. I believe it's Noah who said it. You feel like you're like paddling in Jurassic Park. So stunning. Absolutely loved it. But you come out of the locks and you are almost abruptly confronted with development. You like wind around a corner, you're heading into Jupiter, and there's just houses, and it just like the vibe changed really drastically, but the wind also changed very drastically, and we were paddling into a ferocious headwind. Like we're, Neil and Benji and I are like pretty experienced paddlers. It was rough going. Noah, super strong dude, cranking it, like going great. Kourtez and Kiana are going as hard as they possibly can, but we're not moving. We're paddling as hard as we can. We're staying about like this. So Benji and I throw some line behind us, and I think I tied Kourtez to me, and Benji, I think you tied Kiana to you, and we were just chugging, just trying so hard to paddle, so hard to fight that headwind. And looking back now, it was like a great moment of perseverance, but in the moment, I did not appreciate it. And I was very much like, this is exhausting. Can we just go back to Jurassic Park? Because I liked it better in the locks.
Right.
Kiana, what do you got?
I would probably say what she just said, because like in the moment, like we were literally like not going anywhere. Like you would I would be paddling and thinking that I'm going somewhere, and like when I would be paddling, I would like get exhausted, so I would look down and just paddle, and then I'd look back up and I'm still like at the same spot that I was 10 minutes ago. And I would be like what? So, you know, back then it was a little bit frustrating, but we all knew like we had to, you know, push through, and we did. But now looking back at it, you know, it was a great experience, and it was a great memory as well.
Yeah. Yes. Kourtez, what's that thing that stuck out that didn't make it into film that was a little bit Instagram versus reality?
I know. Waking up at the crack of dawn, the second light appeared. We had to be up, we had to get moving. And for me, someone who likes sleeping until I just wake up, you know, it was frustrating, you know, the first 2 days having to wake up that early, like it was school time again, you know, threw me for a loop. But, you know, in the end, you know, it helped my sleep schedule, you know, I could do more things, you know, I applied it in school, so it was actually pretty helpful in the end. So
yeah. And you guys,
plus you got to stuff your pockets with like Oreos and chips,
I did. And six pieces of bread, PB&J.
The biggest PB&J I have ever seen Kourtez made for lunch. 6 layers of bread with PB&J in between everyone. Noah, what do you got? What do you remember? You still connected?
I'd say, yeah. My camera's not connected though. I'd say, I guess that moment for me, I mean, I honestly, I loved every single part of it. I tried to embrace the suck, and it's just like, that was all like a part of it, you know. It was fun. I guess I couldn't do certain things like on the first day, I remember asking Benji, like there was these little ramps or whatever going down, like heading out
the
of Jonathan
dams in the
Dickinson,
river,
and I wanted to slide down them so bad, and I was like trying to convince him. He was like, no, next time we can do that, you know. But really, I'd say that the one moment that was kind of like, all right, this is a little hard, was I'd say maybe Trappers. There were so many mosquitoes at Trappers, and mosquitoes love me. Got bit up, and then they started having ghost stories, and I don't do well with ghosts, and I was just like, come on, really, ghosts? Trappers are ghosts? I'm getting bit by mosquitoes, you know. Tried to go to bed that night, you know. I thought the Trapper was gonna get me, you know. Had a rusty hook, you know, hugging my sleeping bag, you know. But for the most part, I'd say, you know, I didn't really have any, you know, too hard of moments other than, you know, that one.
I just wanted to add something quickly to what he just said, because it reminded me. So when they were saying the ghost stories, I believe in ghosts, so it had me on edge, and this was so funny, and I forgot to mention it. Thank you for reminding me, because oh my goodness. So basically, we went to sleep. After we ate, we went to sleep, and we all were in separate tents, and you know, I fell asleep and I woke up. I don't know why, but I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to use the restroom. And if you guys know, like, the restroom was in one of the old buildings that I guess was like actually there. It's been there for a long time. So when I had to go to the restroom, I would have to walk like through the bushes and then to the restroom, and it was pitch black. So I could hear like leaves, I could like hear animals, and apparently like I thought that it was haunted. So I just had my little flashlight on my phone. And every time that I heard like a little leaf or something, I would literally jump. And the funniest thing that happened was this was one area where we did have service. So I texted my friend like, hey, like in case anything happens, I'll text you when I'm at my tent, because I was really scared.
Oh.
And I went to the I walked in, I went to the restroom, and out of nowhere, like I heard like a big snap and all the lights went out and I almost screamed. So it was so funny because I really thought it was over for me, but I made it back to the tent. But I just had to share that because it was so funny. Like it was funnier than I described it. Like it was so funny.
I don't think you ever told us that before, Kiana. I'm sorry, it was so
No.
dramatic.
That's so
No,
funny.
but it was so funny, like looking back at it.
Yeah, no,
That's
I remember
great.
some of my young camping experiences. Yeah, having to get up in the middle of the night, not fun. You don't know what's around you. Well, I think that brings us about to the end here. We're actually past our cutoff time, but this has been so interesting. And maybe, what a fantastic film experience. And just so beautifully shot and wonderfully communicated, I have to say. And I think we're all glad it's getting out into the bigger world. And it's certainly deserving of the awards that it has won. And perhaps Sergio or Benji, you would like to mention the awards that you've won, that you've been nominated for.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna rely on Alex, Sergio, and Neil to fill in gaps. But with the film festival circuit, we have been finalists for the DC Environmental Film Festival that's in the nation's capital, the Wasatch Mountain Film Festival, which is Park City, Utah. That's their premier film festival. Let's see, we just went international with a film festival in Berlin, Germany. The Maine Outdoor Film Festival, which is airing, they're actually showing Hidden Wild on Thursday this week in Portland, Maine. I'm really excited because one of our photography nerds who spends a lot of time in the natural areas is gonna visit that one. What else? I'm missing a couple here. So we got DC Environmental, Wasatch Mountain.
Yeah, I'm looking at the spreadsheet right now that Corey keeps up. So International Wildlife Film Festival in Missoula, Montana, Florida Environmental Film Festival,
Yes.
Which I don't know where in Florida that's based, Chesapeake Film Festival, and the Planet Doc Film Festival, which is in Brazil.
That's amazing. So 2 internationals, and for everybody local to the Palm Beaches, we've got our fingers crossed that Hidden Wild will make it in as a finalist to the Wild and Scenic Film Festival, because we have a satellite event for Wild and Scenic here at the Jupiter Lighthouse, outstanding natural area where our expeditioners all visited. So with any luck, fingers crossed, that will be an in-person festival next April, and hopefully we'll all be able to get together and watch Hidden Wild under the lighthouse. So yeah, we've got a lot more. And Sergio, yeah, tell us about the one that we just got nominated for in the tourism industry, because that one I think kind of ties everything we've been talking about together.
Yeah, sure thing. It is the Destiny Awards, which are presented by the U.S. Travel Association. It's their highest honors, and these are some of the highest honors in the entire U.S. travel industry. We're nominated under films, video, and podcast. There's 3 other competitors. We're going to find out August 17th if we have won that award. And Discover the Palm Beaches has never won a Destiny Award before. And to my knowledge, in my 21 years, this is the first time we've ever been nominated. So it is really a fantastic honor.
Congratulations. You got a big raise coming your way, maybe.
Sound like, $5. So
Yeah, and hope you're all ready to walk the red carpet somewhere. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I do want to encourage everybody, though. I mean, the point of this film is really to inspire everyone who lives locally here to realize what we have right in our backyard. I mean, I travel across the country every year with my wife. We visit the most amazing places in the US. I promise you what we have right here is a national park that nobody knows about. So please share the film, hiddenwildfilm.com. You can stream it anytime you want. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, and just try to get our community and people all around the country and around the globe really connected with the special place that we have here.
Right. Thank you very much. Well, with that, I just want to thank all of you, and Scott, turn it over to you for some final remarks.
Okay. Oops. So thank you, everyone. It was such an honor having the crew and the expeditioners with us this evening. What a great experience. What a great film. Inspirational. Motivating, I think, to get us out there again and realize what we have, as Benji said, and good luck on winning even more awards and getting even a larger audience. Thank you for staying with us tonight. Next month on September 7th at 7 p.m. we'll have Amy Kite, Director of Bush Wildlife Sanctuary, who will talk to us about what Palm Beach County the Palm Beach County bird rescue effort that they are the major part of in terms of helping our birds that are injured. So thanks again for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Get some dinner or get some sleep. I don't know, or watch the Olympics, whatever you're into now. And we'll see you next month. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.